Whether you're leading a team, building your own business, or figuring out how to lead yourself, leadership starts from within. We're going to break down the habits, mindsets, and unconventional strategies that fuel the world's most impactful leaders, helping you step up, stand out, and spark a lasting change. Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Finding Success podcast. This is a show where we strip away the unnecessary, cut through the noise, and get back to what really matters. I'm Alex, and this is my co-host, Adam.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you, mate. Very good.
Good week?
Yeah, it's been all right, mate. We've been travelling a little bit. We've been doing a bit of work away, haven't we?
Grafting, you know. Always.
But I'm good, mate. I'm good. Been had a lot of time for a lot of reading. Which is
sensational,
nice.
Yeah.
Reading a book called The Chimp Mindset, which is
Paradox.
crazy.
Chimp Mindset. Paradox. Yeah. I've got it. I've not read it yet, but I've got it.
Good book. Halfway through already.
Nice.
Come on.
Quite interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
It's good to read. Yeah. It talks the way about your human and your chimp paradox and the way that they work together and which one takes control. And unfortunately, I'll let the chimp take control this morning, but we'll leave it at that. How you been, mate? All good?
I'm good, brother. I'm going to be typically British here and say the weather has been fantastic this week.
Oh, my God.
Sunny. Not warm.
No.
But
it's nice.
In the sun, lovely. Yeah. Fresh wind, just fresh
Got
air.
the bike out, didn't I?
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
got his scent.
Right. That's right.
I like it. Anyway, getting to it.
Yeah.
In this episode, we're breaking down what it takes to be a good leader at work.
Yeah.
From mindset to action and everything in between. So it's going to be really, really good for people that want to become leaders eventually. People that are leaders are probably terrible leaders because all know they exist.
Yeah.
Put your hands up, you work with them. Yep, everyone's got their hands up in the studio. Everyone about it. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we're going to get into it right now.
But before we get into it, actually, that's a lie.
Good to say.
Don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X. Links will be down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this podcast. Get this podcast out there as well so we can help the world. Classic saying, remember that?
We can help the world.
But also, grab a pen and some paper. Make sure you take some notes down during this episode because if you're a leader, I'll become a leader, aspiring leader. This is something that you really need to listen to, so make sure you pay attention. Give us your undivided attention.
That is right.
Right,
Adam.
Go on then, boy. Get into it.
Well, I'm just going to ask you a question, bro.
Oh, okay.
What makes a good leader?
Oh,
get into
my
it.
God.
Going deep straight away. We need to define leadership, you know? Just define it for me. What makes a good leader?
Is there really a definition of what a good leader is? It's a hard question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think to me, leadership is about influence, about having trust in that person, creating an environment where people can thrive. So we think about situations where we give people trust. We give people, as a leader, we give people trust. We give people the option to do better and to do worse sometimes, but also to expand and really grow as a person. The thing I think doesn't happen when you create a environment that isn't like that is where you're micromanaging every single person, micromanaging every single step. Being over cautious sometimes creates the opposite of that. It doesn't create any good form of workplace, and therefore you become a bad leader because of it. So a good leader is someone who sets a vision on their employees, but also empowers them at the same time. Less about barking orders and more about inspiring action. Which I really love, actually. And awesome. Sorry.
It reminds me, I always think, when we talk about leadership, I always think about a little sketch I've seen. It's a group of people pulling a desk, like a bunch of sled dogs in the Arctic. Just people in a line, pulling on some rope over their shoulder and pulling this desk. And it says, a boss, one of the images is a boss, and it's the leader basically stood on top of the desk, just whipping the guys, telling them to work harder. And the other version is the leader out the front, pulling the sled with them, leading the way, basically, literally.
Yeah.
It's just a really good visual idea of the difference between being a leader and just being a boss, just being someone who's in charge of people.
Yeah. There's that saying that a leader... Oh, mate, I can't remember what it is. A leader who's one that goes the way... knows the way and shows the way, right? So they know what way they're going. They go in that way and they show how to get from A to B. So I think that's almost those words speak for themselves. Really, do you know what I mean? You show what you can do, and other people will follow your footsteps.
Absolutely. I love that. But there is a catch.
Oh, there's always a catch.
Leadership isn't one size fits all.
No.
Different work environments require different leadership styles. We all know that. It's obvious. The key is to knowing how to adapt while staying authentic to yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That is right.
I think there's the thing is, leaders become leaders because of who they are. They have certain things that show there is a good leader and show there is a bad leader. Like I said at the very start, if you're micromanaging every single person about every single move and what they're doing and how they're doing it and ways that they're doing it, and you don't think they're correct, or you bring it up the wrong way, or your communication is bad, I think you become a bad leader quite quickly. And I also think that if you're an employee and not a leader at the moment, and that is what you get as a leader, as in an employee, and the leader's doing that to you, I think as that leader leaves and you become part of a bigger thing, you also become accustomed to that. So I think it's quite hard that when you're stepping up from being a little employee to being a leader in a leader position, you have to sort of get out the way of out with the old, this is not how it's going to be, and in with the new, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Changing that mindset and changing the morale around the place that you're in, I think is quite hard, and I think SO should do it.
There was a podcast, someone was speaking about this. I think it was, do you know Rory Sutherland? You've seen him, a big bloke.
Yeah.
Genius in marketing around the world, but he was... got a couple of stories to remember. I think it was him that said this first one. At the beginning of your career, you start out as a doer, essentially. To get ahead, your advantage is not experience, it's just work rate. The harder you can work, the further you're going to get ahead.
Yeah.
And as you get further and further into your career, you're going to have experience and knowledge backing you up. So 10 years into your career, when you are starting to get these leadership positions, climbing the ladder, if you will, you can no longer just... lean on your work rate. You need to be able to use your knowledge. You have to be able to think now and be a leader. And I think that's where we struggle. We spend so many years becoming just doers, try and max out your work rate to improve and get ahead. And then suddenly there comes a power shift and you have to start thinking. You have to start being a planner, being a much more in your head type of person instead of just a physical doer. And I think a lot of people struggle with that transition throughout their career. It's something that we don't always get right. But because we were so good at the doing, we just automatically assume we're good at the leadership side of it. But it's quite different. It's a completely different skill that isn't taught in schools. It isn't taught anywhere really. You just need to learn, well, on this podcast. We're going to tell you.
Exactly.
That is right.
Talking of leadership traits.
Yes.
Give me a couple of traits core traits that a good leader should have.
Core traits. Okay. I think there's a few. One would definitely be communication.
Yeah.
For me, clear, transparent communication. It just eliminates any confusion, any misguidance from your subordinates. You need to keep them not in line. That sounds a bit too much, but you need to have a clear, concise vision. If you don't, it's just not going to work very well. Everyone needs to be aligned towards one goal.
Yeah.
When you hear something, especially because don't forget, a lot of subordinates will talk amongst themselves after a meeting or after a chat. You've just had a chat with someone, they've gone, oh, what did he say?
Yeah.
And they have a little natter and a little gossip. And this can really be quite fatal. If you've given him slightly different information to what you've given someone else, and they come together and they correlate what you've been speaking about, they go, hang on, something's not adding up here. Already lost. Stuff is going to take longer to be able to achieve. So, yeah, communication, massive key one.
Yeah.
What about you, have you got one?
Accountability.
Nice.
Straight up. Again, like you said, with communication, I think it goes hand in hand. I think with the whole chat you just said about communicating between two people and then they go and natter away or whatever, and things become misguided in some way. I think from accountability point of view, being a good leader, being accountable for what you've said, what you're going to do, and what you've said to previous people to make sure that they believe in what you're going to change. So for instance, if you work for a company and they said that we're going to give you an extra half an hour at lunch, and they've said that to the company, and yet they haven't done that yet, and there's one person who goes, when we get an extra half an hour, and they go, actually, you know what, not getting any more.
Yeah.
Like that very thing is not accountable at all. Not accountable at all. So being able to sort of say something and stick to your word with that thing is very important because it shows trust.
Yes.
When you say something, people believe you, that you said, okay, we're going to do this, this is going to happen. They trust you, employees trust you. And when someone trusts you, they do way more for you than what you could ever think of or ever dream of. Trust in a work-life relationship is very important. And as soon as you don't have accountability, the trust is almost broken, and no trust is worthless.
Completely agree. Empathy, I think, is a good one.
Yes.
A leader who listens and genuinely cares about their subordinates, their team members, builds trust. Trust is the foundation of any great team, like you were just saying. It's if you can, as a leader, take a step back, rely on your team to do the work, while you can be thinking of the future and forward thinking outside of the day-to-day activities that your team's working on, your team will accelerate. It will just keep moving forward. It's like a steam train, like get the momentum going, and it won't stop. Just keep that trust in the team. And I think empathy, you do need a bit of empathy,
absolutely,
towards your team to be able to get that, because it's just also a bit of respect there from you. If someone's had a bad day, someone's feeling a bit rough, had a tragedy at home, something like this, if you show a bit of empathy towards them, they're going to be like, actually, okay, he's gone back. I'm confident. I can trust this guy. Yeah,
that goes hand in hand with adaptability as well. So with that side of, okay, so you've had a mishap at home and the guys had to go, right, okay, sorry, Rhett, I can't come in today. I need the time off. Being able to adapt and go, right, actually, lads, I'm really sorry. Butson's had an issue at home. His car's broke down. He's got a flat tire. Can we, just for today, and I'm really sorry, pull a couple of extra hours just in, but maybe cut lunch a bit short, go home at the same time, but just cover him. He's going through a tough time. Adapt. We'll all adapt as a team. We'll overcome this issue, and tomorrow there'll be a reward in some way. So adapting. The business world moves fast, right? Everyone expects something being done yesterday. It should have been done yesterday. Why is it not on my desk, right? And if we don't adapt, and life throws us these challenges, it's just how we adapt to those challenges is how we become a good leader. And if we're calm, cool, collected, we can adapt to anything that happens and thrown our way, overcome it. The guy goes, fuck me, these guys are good. Do you know what I mean? He's really letting us. I know that if I'm in the shit and my car's broken down, wife's having a problem, needs to go to hospital, I'm not going to be told off for it. He's just, him and the team are just going to adapt. Yeah, exactly. Really important.
Love it. I think vision is another good one.
Yes.
A good leader or good leaders have clear visions and can articulate that vision in a way that excites and motivates the team. I know Richard Branson is quite big on this. What he considers his job solely to be about creating vision moving forward. So he will tell the team, we're going to do, what's his space agency? Virgin, it's not Virgin Space.
Not Atlantic, what's it called?
Galactic? Virgin Galactic or something?
Remember.
It's like Blue Moon and SpaceX, all that. I was watching some videos on him start this up at the beginning of whenever he was doing it. And he said one of his major roles is just vision, just giving the company a direction to go in.
Yeah.
Because he's got the best people doing the best jobs that they can do. He doesn't need to be on the ground floor doing the day-to-day. So he just gives them the vision, gives them the motivation, gives them a clear road to run down and attack, and his job's done. So you got good people around him; they'll be able to do the work.
I think we haven't really touched on it yet, but the good people around you, I think, is really important. So, like for me, any good leadership, any good leader in action will be like, right, almost come around on the Monday morning and go, all right, lads, how's it going? How's the weekend? What's going on? Anything to tell me about, or anything good, anything bad, what happened? And I think just touching base with every single person that is around you, I think is quite important, because you can you gain rather than being a leader to that person, you almost become a friend. And I think being a friend, okay, we understand that it's hard to have that friendship leadership balance in work, but being understanding of when they're struggling with life, when they're struggling with problems, when they're struggling with XYZ, and you've just gone to them and gone, right, I can see you being, you feel down, you feel lonely. What's the problem, mate? What's the issue? Can you talk to me about it? Let's have a chat. If you want to come and chat 15, 20 minutes, go for a little coffee, go for a walk, and we can sort of touch base and you can tell me about it all. And I'll be here for you in that case. I think it's quite important. However, I also think because you are doing that, you in some way, if you're, say, an owner of a really small business, you personally have no one to go to. So it can be lonely at the top, right? You don't have anyone to go to talk about those issues. if you're the one struggling, you don't really want to go down the chain because you feel a bit inferior in some cases, and a lot of people won't want to do that. So having that friend maybe that is below you in some way, maybe not below you, it's a wrong word, but maybe, you know, that you're the boss of them, and maybe having that one person that you do have a close relationship with, whether they're your, you know, leader or whatever, to have the trust to go and do that. If you are in a tough time and you don't want to bring it home, then you can go to that one person.
Nice. I want to bring up the other story that Rory Sutherland was saying on this podcast. He was just travelling. I think he was at a bar one evening, and he was speaking to a lad who had worked two jobs. He's got speaking to his bartender who just served him. He's got speaking to him, and he was a bartender in the evening and a barista in the morning. Worked for two different companies, and he said he freaking loved working at the barista coffee bar. Hates working at the
Bar.
Alcohol bar. And he was curious to know why. He's like, why is that? What's the difference? You know, what's going on? And he simply said his answer was that at the bar in the evening, the place he hates working at, the boss just comes around and is constantly over his back, watching what he's doing. What's going on? This is going wrong. You need to do this. You need to do this. Tell him what to do. Micromanaging the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Whereas the coffee bar job, the manager comes around and goes, "What can I do to help, lads? What can I do to make your life a little bit easier today?" And so the difference between the coffee and the bar place was the coffee shop. He was able to keep his head up, wanted to do a job to the best of his ability, trying to have his own flair to it. He knew his boss had his own back. Whereas when he was a bartender in the evenings, he just wanted to keep his head down, do his time, and get out, get the money, and go. He didn't want to do anything else other than that because he knew his boss would just have him for whatever reason. And he much preferred doing the cafe barista job. So I think you need to think about that as a leader. Are you hindering your staff? Are you making them cower and keep their head down to do the job and get out? Or are you like building them up, helping them to be the better person or be a better person each day? Are you going forward and asking, what can I do to help you with? What can I do to make your job easier today? I think that's a massive thing that you need to think about. 100%.
I think, like you said, making the lives of your employees just a little bit easier. But also like letting them learn from their own mistakes, right? So every single mistake that we have in our lives, it's a lesson. When we're a kid, for instance, we get told something like 40,000 times, I can't remember what the exact number is, but no. The word no becomes so apparent in our head. Don't do that. Don't touch this. Don't touch the saucepan. Don't do that. If you let your employee just make those mistakes, they learn from them. And it's the same way that you did. You had to make those mistakes to learn from them, the same way as a leader did. You've maybe sacked the wrong person. You've said the wrong word. You've acted the wrong way. You've seen that people don't like it when you act that way. And however, when you go the extra mile to be polite, what can I do to help? How can I help you? What will improve your life here? They go from being grumpy to being happy. And those mistakes that we learn, we have to make note, but also to move forward, we have to know what to do right. And if it's not working, you do the opposite. Basically, you go, if I'm getting backlash for this, I'm going to do the opposite and make it nicer for everyone. I think that's really important.
Absolutely, yeah. Some of the best leaders are the ones who spend more time listening than talking as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, I love this. They're people that ask questions, they gather perspectives from their team and their subordinates, and then they make decisions that benefit the whole team, not just their own agenda.
Yeah.
It's so key. Again, another story from I've heard in all the podcasts I listen to, all the books I read. I don't think it was Jeff Bezos, but it was a huge industry leader who gave this speech. And instead of him, he'd get a board meeting together and they want to come up with an idea to solve problem X. And he used to do it by going, right, this is what I think we should do. This is problem X. This is my solution. What does everyone else think? And all he would get is yeah, fantastic idea. That's fantastic. Brilliant. Yeah, I like that. And then maybe one person would say a slightly different point of view, but then the rest of the team would just go, no, I like yours, boss. Yeah, you're the best.
We'll go for that.
Fantastic. So what he started doing instead is going, this is our problem. This is problem X. Go around the room. Everyone give me an idea of what we can do to solve it.
Yeah.
And then you'd get about 10 different answers from your board, depending on how many people are in there. And one of them will be the perfect one that you didn't see. You didn't think of it in time because you just got so tunnel visioned with your own idea that you couldn't possibly contemplate that be an option. And by the time it got round to him, because he'd be the last one, he'd give his opinion last. He'd probably decided, actually, I quite liked a few of the others, and they dove deeper into those options.
Yeah.
Or if he did get round to his, then they have a chat afterwards and they dive deep into some of the options anyway. So it's a win-win. You're listening to your team. Chances are they're there for a reason. They're good at what they do. Listen to them. Don't let them be yes men. Don't give them opportunities to be yes men. get ideas out of them first.
Yeah. But that's like the perfect way of almost saying, how do I want my team to work with me? Or what you're basically doing is developing your own leadership skills and improving them, right? And you're basically saying is, how do I want my team to feel when they work with me? So if, like you said, this is the direction we're going in, and you just basically get everyone that agrees with you, then that's not really the right thing, is it? But asking the question and going, right, okay, how, saying these words, how is my team going to feel when I say this, and how are they going to react to it? And if they react to it with pure radio silence and go, yeah, you're right, we'll never challenge you. Or do you want a team that will go, actually, can we do this? Or how do you feel about this? Or throwing the ideas out. I think that is a question that you need to put across for them to answer. So, and put yourself in their shoes. If you have one person telling you this is how we're going to do it, I'm pretty sure 9 times out of 10 people don't enjoy that. They don't really want to go, yeah, okay, yes sir, no sir, feedback's also. They want actually, I want my brain to work a little bit. Can I maybe figure out how we can do this, how we can do that? So ask yourself the question as well, like, it's perfect, but how do I want my team to feel when they work with me? And that's quite an important question you have to ask.
Yeah, massively.
Also, what sort of leader would I want to work for?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like you said, the same thing, but what leader do I want to... If your boss is struggling at work, sit back and go, I would love to work with Jeff Bezos or something. Would you? Do you know what Jeff Bezos likes to work with? Probably not. But if you've had a previous experience, like we all have, well, a lot of us have had previous jobs and previous leaders.
Working under people,
exactly, under different people. And you've gone, wow, this guy did this so differently. Give them some ideas. And if they're very open-minded, give them the idea, well, just so you know, we had this back in the other company and it worked amazingly. Everyone loved it. If you're struggling, I would suggest trying to do this and X, Y, Z, and give them the ideas to help them grow as well.
Yeah, it's
important.
It is. I think you do have to look at it. If you've got chances are, if you're a leader early on in your career, you're going to be like middle management.
Yeah, and
you're going to have bosses you have to deal with. And if there are some traits in them that you don't like, chances are you could be projecting those traits onto your subordinates, the people working for you. So you've got to be really careful about that. Say if people are coming up to you with suggestions and you're sort of shutting them down and saying, no, it's not going to work all day long because you think you know the best way, or because your management told you have to be in charge. But then when you're going up to them and asking for things to be done a certain way, when you're going up to your new bosses and asking for things to be a certain way, they shut you down. You're like, oh, that's stupid. Why are they not listening to me? It's the same thing you're doing to your team. So, yeah, be well aware. Be well aware of what type of leader you are to your team.
Absolutely. Really, really important. Also, one more thing.
Talk to me.
Is what feedback have I received about my leadership style and how can I use it to grow? The big word, the key word is feedback in that sentence. Many, many people who are in a leadership position aren't welcome to feedback. They don't want to know what you think of them. They don't care what you think of them. They don't want to be improved. They don't want to improve themselves. They know that I'm your boss and you listen to me and that's it. They don't want to know what feedback you've got to say. That is being in that person, not knowing what feedback you have, is the worst leader you could possibly be, because you're just so close-minded and basically you're giving your team no direction apart from your own direction. And in reality, if you look at the bigger picture, if you're a leadership of a massive brand, maybe you've done really well. But if you're a manager of, 4 people at a small company, is that really where you want to be? Probably not. So let those people give you feedback. Be open to accepting the feedback. And if it hurts, as before, probably from some of it is probably true.
Yep.
Again, you're not always going to get feedback that is true, but allow them to tell you the feedback, write it down, take notes, have the idea that you are truly interested in what they have to say, and then put things into action to improve yourself. Yeah,
absolutely. I think especially if you're managing a small team of 4 to 10 people, you're going to know them quite personally, one-to-one, what they're like outside of work, what they're like as a person in general, their mindset, are they open-minded, closed-minded, are they interested in growth, all this sort of stuff. You're going to know. You can take feedback from those teams, those people in your team. If you're a small team, if you're in a team of 1,000+ people, it's going to be a bit difficult.
Absolutely,
you don't know them, so personally, be able to take it on board. But if you're in a small, 10 or less, definitely take feedback from your team.
100%. And
because the chances are you can be quite friendly, quite close to them, so it should be easy to listen to them. I'd say.
Absolutely. Quick recap over the core dingers.
Traits.
There we go. So we had empathy, communication, we had accountability. What else did we have?
Adaptability and vision.
Yeah. So those things, key things. Yeah. So make sure you write those down. Really think about every single thing that we said. Write all the collective information that we've given you down. Keywords. Remember, be able to accept feedback. I think is one of the massive one from my side of things. Being able to understand the feedback. Checking on team members, I think, is a massive part again. And write down the question: how do I want to develop my leadership skills? And ask yourself the questions. How do I want my team to feel about me? What kind of leader do I want to be? And what feedback wise? Again, said about that.
Love it.
That's about it. Anything else to add?
No, we're good. Sorted.
At the end of the day, being a good leader isn't about having all the answers. It's about creating an environment where your team feels supported, valued, and inspired to do their best work. If you're someone who's on a leadership journey, whether you're a new manager or a seasoned executive, remember this. Leadership is a lifelong practice. Stay curious, stay humble, and never stop learning.